السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وأهلا وسهلا بكم في أولى حلقات بودكاست شفرة. يسعدنا أن نبدأ معكم هذه الرحلة، حيث نصطحبكم في لقاءات مع باحثين ومبتكرين وصناع تغيير، لنكتشف معا عالم الإحياء ونتعرف أكثر على مسابقة iGEM إلى جانب القصص والتجارب التي تقف خلف الابتكار العلمي. ولأن لكل رحلة بداية، اخترنا أن تكون بدايتنا مع القصة التي انطلقت منها رحلة آيجن في المملكة العربية السعودية. فمن خلال هذه الحلقة سنتعرف على آيجن وكيف بدأ أول فريق سعودي شارك في المسابقة، وما التحديات التي واجهها، وكيف مهدت هذه التجربة الطريق للفرق التي جاءت من بعدها. وللحديث عن هذه الرحلة يسعدنا أن نستضيف اليوم الأستاذة لطيفة، قائدة أول فريق سعودي شارك في المسابقة، والتي ستشاركنا تجربتها والدروس التي خرجت بها وأبرز المحطات التي صنعت هذا الإنجاز. Ms. لطيفة, welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So, before we dive into the iGEM, we would love for our audience to get to know you more. Could you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so my name is Latifat Abdulsalam, and I'm currently a PhD student in bioengineering at KFUPM. My academic background is microbial biotechnology, and my research is mostly focused on infectious disease, particularly um, antimicrobial resistance, and also developing an innovative solution to combat antimicrobial resistance. Um, I've always been fascinated about biology. So currently, my current research field is still on infectious disease, but mostly on molecular diagnostic since I switched from life science to bioengineering. So that's basically it. Still in my PhD journey for I think I've always been interested in how living things work and also how you can manipulate living things in a way that is suitable for you. For example, if you want to produce something, you can manipulate the genes of these organisms to produce what you want. So I've always been fascinated about that in the field of synthetic biology in general. So
I really like how you think and how you come to this decision. So now it's amazing how or how a decision can completely change the direction of our lives. For many people, iGEM becomes one of these life-changing experiences. Let's go back to the beginning of yours. When did you first hear about iGEM and the competition in general?
okay, so at first I didn't really know anything about iGEM, but then we got an email about from the department, which they sent an email about the iGEM. We were asked to go through the iGEM website. We should read and learn about it, and if we're interested in participating in the competition, we can come up with an idea and write a proposal for the competition. So I did that. I went through the website and I saw how students come together, bring really interesting, innovative ideas. And I felt it's something really fun and amazing to just explore and connect with this um, intelligent minds. So that inspired me really to join the competition. And I already had an idea in mind at that time, and I felt this will be an interesting opportunity to bring that idea to light.
Now I want to hear about that more. So before joining, I'm sure you had certain expectations and something in your mind. What do you think that Latifa think before joining all of that?
Okay, like I said earlier, you know, in my department, we don't really focus so much on synthetic biology. And that has been really my interest. And when I saw that, okay, iGEM is mostly on this part that interests me, I felt, okay, this is something you should try. So
Yes, sometimes you just want to. Let's go, let's dive on it.
oh,
So it's always interesting to see how expectations evolve into real experiments. One of the biggest parts of that journey is, of course, the project itself. This brings me to the next question. How did you come up with the idea for your iGEM project, and what advice would you give to students trying to develop their own project ideas?
Okay. Before iGEM, I was already working on my thesis, which was on developing an antimicrobial agent that can combat antibiotic resistance. And then I also found that I can actually divert this research idea towards synthetic biology, where I can manipulate the gene of a living organism to produce um, an agent or solution to antimicrobial resistance. So I kind of use that, mix that idea. Okay, how can I apply synthetic biology to my already existing idea? And that was how I came up with the iGEM idea.
So, what is your advice that you would give to students that are trying to develop their own project ideas? They are in the very, very beginning.
Okay. First, I would want them to know this, that even if they have this idea, they don't know everything. Participating in this competition is also a learning process. So they should use this opportunity to learn new things. They should be committed, hardworking to achieve their goal. But in general, it's a good experience and it's a learning process. So they should enjoy it and they should learn from this opportunity. They should use it as an opportunity to learn.
Yes, I can see that. You say like curiosity and hard working along the way, not give up, is the key
Yeah.
for that. So having an idea is only the first step, but turning that idea to a successful project is really a
Yeah.
completely different challenge. Can you tell us how did idea forming first Saudi iGEM team began?
Okay. Like as I mentioned, we were asked to come up with an idea, write a proposal, and what inspired me to come up with this idea was my already existing research.
Okay. Because you are the first Saudi teams in the Saudi Arabia, you basically have many challenges in the beginning. Can you tell us what the biggest challenge that your team faced and how you overcome it?
Okay. At first, after discovering that, okay, we're the first team in Saudi, first in KFUPM, I felt a little bit of pressure because I didn't want to disappoint the university. I really wanted them to be proud. And I wanted the country to be proud of us as well. So that pressure was there, that fear was there. But then I tried to overcome that fear. I had an amazing team, which helped in making things easy. So I learned to overcome that fear. And another challenge was that we faced was this was my first time to do something related to synthetic biology. So I was still learning. And at a point when it was almost close to the end of the competition, we didn't really achieve so much in the research, in the experimental aspect, because we had some issues with ordering some of the genes that we needed to complete that experiment. But that was really challenging because of the fear. Oh my God, this is the first competition. We haven't really done something related to the experiment. We haven't completed it. The time is going. That was really challenging. But at the end of the day, we were able to put some things together, at least to meet the requirement of the iGEM, which I was really proud of.
Clear that iGEM is much more than a competition. It's experience that shapes the people who take part in it. What's
Yes.
the biggest lesson you learned from iGEM?
Okay. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned, I would say, teamwork. You can't do everything alone. You need people to actually assist you, I believe. And if you can communicate with people and work as a team, things will be much more easier than doing it alone.
I totally agree with you. Now, looking back, we all think about what would we do differently. So, if you could go back, what would you do differently in your experience at all?
I would say starting things early, not waiting for deadlines, because that was one of the mistakes we kind of made. I think that happened because this was the first time we learned about iGEM, and the whole process was a learning process. So usually we worked when it's almost close to the deadline, because like the iGEM has a lot of stages where sometimes you need to submit a video or maybe an article or something, but usually we learn about this thing pretty late, and we work under pressure because it's almost the deadline. So I think now is to do things early, try to investigate early, learn early, ask questions from people that are already experienced in the competition. Ask questions and do things on time.
So we can say, put deadline before the deadline to be safe.
Yes, exactly.
So, before we finish, we would love to end with a few final questions. What do you think about seeing more Saudi teams participate in iGEM? Where did you see Saudi iGEM teams in the future?
I feel that Saudi team will achieve much better in the future. I see them winning the competition in the future. I feel like the first competition was just a trial. It's a trial. We learned, but now they've learned, and I feel more Saudi team will learn from our experience, and they will be among the winning teams in the future, inshallah, because they're literally hardworking. So
Inshallah, we're hoping so. So, if you could describe your total iGEM experience in only one sentence, what it would be?
I would say exciting. It was exciting, and also it kind of transformed me in a good way. I learned a lot, so I would say exciting and transforming.
I really like this answer. So, summing up, and one last question. It's not about science or experience anymore. It's about you, Ms.
Mhm.
Latifa. How would you
Okay.
describe yourself outside the research?
Side research, I'm actually an introvert, kind of, but I'm learning to be less of an introvert because being an introvert won't take you anywhere. But that's me, basically. I'm just an introvert who's learning to be more open.
Yeah, it's okay because when you know yourself, it's better than you don't know what you are doing in life. It's
Yeah.
okay. So, and finally, do you have any word to say, any advice, any comment?
For the new team, I will advise that they should be hardworking. That's my word. They should always be hardworking. They should be committed because this competition requires a lot of commitment. They shouldn't see it like they are doing this to please anyone, but they are doing it for themselves because they love science. They love it for themselves. They should put so much love in this competition. Okay, so they should be committed to it. They shouldn't just do it because, oh, they want to impress someone, but just because they feel excited about it and they love what they are doing. I think
Thank you,
that
Miss Latifa, for your words and kind support. We really appreciate that. Miss Latifa, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure hearing about your journey and learning more about the story behind the first Saudi Argentine team. We hope your experience inspire more students to explore research and innovation and opportunities like iGEM. And thank you to everyone who listened to our very first episode. The story doesn't end here. In our next episode, we will be joined by members of the current Saudi iGEM team to explore how this year's project come to life, what inspired it, and how they are continuing the journey. Thank you so much. في أمان الله.